5 men arrested over burning effigy of Grenfell Tower. Alternative headlines may include 5 men arrested over burning cardboard box, 5 men murder paper people in horrific fire, or how about 5 men arrested for burning effigies on a holiday about burning effigies. For all my viewers that don't know, Guy Fawkes Nights is essentially an English holiday where you make a big bonfire, you put a little doll on top of the bonfire, and then you light it on fire and you set off some fireworks. The doll's meant to represent Guy Fawkes, who was a traitor who tried to blow up Parliament at one point. But these days, it's basically you put on it whatever you want. For instance, these people that have put on, like, you know, Boris Johnson, or, you know, just anything that you find sort of that angers you, you put on top of this bonfire. I mean, it's just a weird holiday with some weird ritualistic overtones, where British people burn a figure from the 1600s or whatever you want to put in its place. But when a family of 5 decided to dress up a cardboard box as a tower that recently got burnt down in London and then set it on fire, in what was clearly just a drunken bad taste joke, apparently 400 years of British tradition just has to be fucking squashed aside because some idiots made a fucking joke. Wow, I really do love my government.
You built Auschwitz on our mind.
It's an amusement.
You built Auschwitz on our Minecraft server.
In recent years, my country's become like a little bit of a meme in the eyes of the whole world. I mean, even the Germans make fun of us for being like a little bit cuckoo, and they really shouldn't, because obviously they have more speech codes than us. But I think it's literally just because England was the foundation of liberty.
The land is England, and once it was the foundation of order.
That is just so fucking odd to see us bending over backwards for just weird fucking arbitrary laws. In my country, within the last 30 years, we seem to have like just shucked out the idea of free expression in the same way that a once happy housewife just notices that Jose from the gym, you know, is a little bit more attractive to her now, and that just callously and lustfully she just goes and throws out her whole life just to be with this Jose guy. But look, we just shucked it out. It's dead here now.
Oh, but James, we have free speech in the UK. It even says so in my Prevent British Values Government sheet.
Stop! Stop right there!
Stop! You violated the law.
I mean, honestly, this video has been a long time fucking coming because I am sick of my country just being the laughing stock of the world. Like, even Canadians make fun of us. Even Canadians!
So we'd like you to look
we like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
There we go, exactly. Yes, thank you.
We can all learn from each
In my
other.
view, they should all be made to pay a special 80 pence in the pound tax. A tax on being insufferably left-wing.
When a country with the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is making fun of you for being a little bit too fucking sensitive, that's when you know. That's when you know. So here we go, here is a list of the times that I could find that the British state have arrested people for jokes, jibes, and just general free expression.
It's our time, gentlemen.
Now, while you watch this video, I just want you to keep in the back of your mind the narrative we constantly get from both sides of our government is that the police are on their last legs, i.e., they don't have the budget to tackle even the most basic of crimes. Very difficult for the police out there, and they really have to figure out their priorities. So I just want you to keep that in mind while you're watching this video.
I've been saying now for the last 13 months, ever since I first became the mayor, that we simply don't have the resources we need to provide the best police service we can.
So here we go, from The Guardian. Matthew Woods, a teenager of 19 years old, was arrested for posting a joke about a missing girl, Madeleine McCann, on his Facebook page. Do you wanna know the funny thing too? The joke wasn't even his. He copied and pasted it from a page, a website specifically about sick jokes. I just want to know, like, have anyone in the court system ever been fucking a teenager? And have you ever made a sick joke in front of your mates? The chairman of the bench, Bill Hudson, said the comments were so abhorrent that the kid deserved the harshest sentence that the court could pass down on him. Hudson added, the reason for the sentence is the seriousness of the offence, the public outrage that has been caused, and we felt like no other sentence this court could have passed which conveys to you the abhorrence that many in society feel this crime should receive. Oh well, as long as some people in society feel like you should have a harsh sentence, I mean, boys. For the record, about 50 people showed up at his house and threatened him with violence, so as long as that mob feels like he should be burned at a stake, why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he be?
Constable Curly, arrest them!
They've been laughing and telling jokes!
We don't want their kind around here.
All right, boyos, you're coming with me.
But Constable Curly, what did we do?
Town of Appleton Bylaw 362-7 clearly prohibits the telling of any jokes, puns, riddles, amusing anecdotes, or tall tales, the playing of any pranks, tricks, or practical jokes, or performing sleight-of-hand magic tricks in which silly objects are pulled from people's ears.
You mean it's against the law to have a sense of humour?
I'll let you off with a warning this time.
Just so you know, 50 people in a mob threatening a kid with violence. Nah. Kid makes a joke on Facebook. Arrest that man!
Arrest him!
Speaking about being arrested for quotes, how about Paul Wetson, far-right political leader of the British Liberty Party, who was arrested for reading out a quote from one of Winston Churchill's books on a street corner about what he felt was the nature of Islam. You know when your country is so free that you arrest people for reading books?
That we simply don't have the resources we need to provide the best police service we can.
Speaking about reading books in public, try this one on for size. Gordon Lammer, 42, was charged by the police after telling the story of Adam and Eve to a 19-year-old who asked him about God's views on homosexuality. The street preacher referred to the book of Genesis and stated that God created Adam and Eve to produce children. Within minutes, he was frog-marched to a police van and accused of threatening or abusive behaviour aggravated by prejudice relating to sexual orientation, despite not swearing or using any form of offensive language.
That we simply don't have the resources we need.
Now, what you'll find about people who are, sort of praise the idea of, banning certain media is that a lot of the books that this country were founded upon, whether that be, the Bible or, even our national anthem has something about beating the Scots into fuckholery, but a lot of the language that our old media is based upon can be seen as quite offensive these days. I mean, just read any old American book, or I guess any old English book for that matter. Like, they drop N-bombs like there's no tomorrow. So, if you actually put, like, let's say the Quran through the same treatment that the left would have other books put through and other pieces of media put through, like, that thing would just get fucking banned straight away. It's like fucking the Quran just advocates, like, for straight up beheading Jews. Paul Chambers is probably the most famous case anyone can think of in this country for someone who was arrested for a joke, and social media, a joke at that. He was arrested for his joke tweet, "Crap, Robin Hood Airport is closed. You've got a week and a bit to get your shit together, otherwise I'm blowing the airport sky high." Now, do you want to know how I know that's a joke? Because the highest court in the land, the High Court, said it was a joke. It ruled it as a joke, and the guy was let off, which kind of begs the wisdom of the next few cases.
Hey. I was gonna build, like, a fucking farm here, and you build Auschwitz!
Now, everyone knows this one because it's the most recent, it's the most famous, probably brought the most attention to these laws, right? But Marcus Michan was an actual comedian who was arrested for teaching his dog the paw trick. But instead of teaching it with the word paw, he teached it with Sig Heil. So you can imagine this little dog doing a little Sig Heil.
Sig Heil. Sig Heil.
Which is fairly amusing. And he also used to give his dogs walkies and gravy bones to the words "gas the Jews."
Time to get up now, Buddha. It's time to get up. Do I gas the Jews?
And he did this as a joke to annoy his girlfriend. So you can imagine this like funny little fucking pug that's having trouble to breathe and getting all excited by the words "gas the Jews" because he's going to get given a gravy bun. He was arrested handcuffed, and then put him through a trial twice as long as the Nuremberg trials for what was obviously a fucking joke. And then he was found guilty. But this guy who joked he was going to blow up an airport wasn't. Look, I mean, I don't want either of them arrested, but I do quite like consistency.
Because I went on, I did a panel a while ago with Zarganara, a Burmese comedian who was imprisoned for making a joke, right? And we are not yet at that stage. I think, undoubtedly,
We're not. We're damn close.
Really?
How about the guy with the pug in the UK?
Count Dankula.
That's the one.
Right, but he did actually, I mean, that
was a joke.
You
might not have liked it. I didn't say it was a good joke. I didn't say it was an appropriate joke. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say it was a well thought through joke. But it was a joke.
Yeah, I just fundamentally don't believe that it was a joke. I believe that it was camouflaged as a joke, and that's what it kind of comes across.
Right,
and I
well, that's exactly what you would believe if you were inclined to persecute comedians.
No, I'm not inclined to persecute someone.
Well, you're inclined to persecute him.
I don't think he's a comedian.
Here's one for you from the Independent, that bastion of journalism. Arrest for social media posts soar, according to a report of 600 plus arrests made by the Metropolitan Police. According to the Register, a total of 2,500 Londoners have been arrested over the past 5 years for allegedly sending offensive messages via social media.
We simply don't have the resources we need.
In 2015, 857 people alone were detained, and a 37% increase since 2010.
We simply don't have the resources we need.
If it feels like neighbourhood policing has vanished, it's not around you. We haven't seen a police while I've been here, and I've been here for a little while now.
The Communication Act of 2003 defines illegal communications as using a public electronic communications network in order to cause annoyance, inconvenience, or needless anxiety. Breaking the law carries a maximum of 6 months prison term or a fine of £5,000. Holy shit, I didn't know being annoyed online was a crime. I'm just gonna report everyone I've ever talked to online, including myself. One of these arrests, though not from London, from Liverpool, was 19-year-old Chelsea Russell, who posted the lyrics to what was it? Snap Dog's song "I'm Tripping," which I guess I can probably get the lyrics up right. I was chilling with my bitch. We was getting high as shit. Fuck around and start tripping. I was thinking about a lick. Then I got my twin told to bring the F&N. He said he already got it, but make sure to bring your friend. He say I see you in about 10. We meet up at the Coney, see an old head with a Cuban and a Rolly. Nigga, run that shit. You better not make a move. He tried to run back in the Coney with his food. I said my brother shot him, so I shot him too. Oh my god. I need to wash my mouth out with soap after that. But she got arrested for posting the lyrics to this song on her Facebook. The words Russell used on her account contained a racial label which some people find extremely offensive. The screenshot was passed up to Hate Crime Unit PC Dominic Walker, who told the court the term was grossly offensive to her as a black woman and to the general community. The Liverpool Echo reported that Russell's defence had argued that the usage of the word had been changed over time and had been used by superstar rapper Jay-Z in front of thousands of people in the Glastonbury Festival. Of course she was found guilty. Of course she was found guilty. You know, superstar uses the N-word. Fine. Working class kid uses the N-word while quoting a superstar.
Lieutenant! Arrest that man!
Captain!
Arrest him!
As if this wasn't all fucking crazy enough, Chelsea actually posted the lyrics in memorial to a dead 13-year-old friend she had whose favourite song was this song, and it was the anniversary of this kid's death. And that's the reason she got arrested. Arresting people for actual crimes? Nah. Arresting kids for mourning their friends? That's a good one. That's a good use of police time, is that?
We simply don't have the resources we need.
Honestly, I'm having so much fun here. I could just go on fucking days. Now, this one isn't exactly free speech, but it's still in the themage. Lauren Southern, a Canadian activist and journalist, was banned from the United Kingdom for performing a social experiment where she handed out leaflets on the street of the diverse and accepting multicultural city of Luton. Now, I know what you're thinking. These leaflets must have been the most hateful shit. And you're right. I'll read it out to you. Allah is gay. Allah is trans. Allah is lesbian. Allah is intersex. Allah is feminist. Allah is queer. Allah is all of us. LGB for Islam, UK. She was then dispersed from the scene by local police who were going to charge her for breaching the peace because, I mean, to be honest, they were afraid that Muslim men were going to attack her because there's no other fucking excuses there. Like, what is she gonna do? She's handing out leaflets about Allah being gay. Like, she's not the one attacking people, is she?
Why can't I have this?
Because it's offensive. I've had 3 or 4 people come up.
Because
people.
Yeah, I find it offensive. I find it very.
I'm offended that people think that Allah's not for gay people as well. That Allah's not for trans people as well.
That's not
Allah is a gay God. He is a God. I'm taking offense to what people are saying to me here.
It constitutes a public order offence, okay, and I cannot allow you to display these out here. Okay, people are coming up to us and telling us that it's offensive, and we're potentially going to have a situation on our hands, okay, where people are going to start becoming injured, okay.
People are going to get injured.
Because people are taking offence to what you're saying.
But of course, she got in trouble for it. And then, the next time that she tried to enter the UK, she was detained under the Terrorism Act and finally given leave by the following letter off the Home Office. You've been asked for leave to enter the United Kingdom as a visitor for up to 5 days. However, by your own admission on the 24th of February 2018, you were involved in the distribution of racist material in Luton. I believe your actions, whilst in the United Kingdom, present a threat to the fundamental interests of society and to the public policy of the United Kingdom. Gee, now, I wonder why in multicultural Britain, in multicultural Luton, handing out a leaflet about LGBT stuff in a predominantly Muslim area might warrant concern by the British government. I just didn't realise my government was such a bunch of homophobes, right? Diversity is our strength.
I mean, just before I answer the question, we've just got to get away from this nonsense that is peddled by Peter and people like him, that immigration is some kind of curse in this country. It is a blessing. It has made...
Now, have you ever wondered yourself what police priorities are about in this country? Don't worry. The South Yorkshire Police, quite close to me. I think I was actually born in South Yorkshire. I know I was born in Leeds. But their police department Twitter have made it quite clear what they're focused on this year. In addition to reporting hate crime, please report on non-crime hate incidents, which can include things like offensive or insulting comments, online, in person, or in writing. Hate will not be tolerated in South Yorkshire. Report it and put a stop to it. Hate hurts, South Yorkshire. Now, apart from the obvious question of if it's not a crime, what the fuck can the police do about it? Non-crime hate incidents. Now, why on earth would the police need to waste their time with non-crime incidents, considering they're under such strain from Tory austerity? My heart really breaks for the police.
They are explicitly asking you to report offensive remarks that are not illegal. Now, that might be a good use of their time when they've solved all the crimes, all right? Once you've solved all the crimes, then feel free to troll Twitter for offensive remarks to your heart's content, all right? You'll have your fucking work cut out on Twitter, I can tell you that.
A 40-year-old Scottish man on the Scottish island of Brute was arrested for posting offensive things about the new Syrian refugees in his town. Apparently, the comments were so offensive that I can't even find them. Like, gee, what the fuck do you think it is? Did he like teach his dog to bark at the phrase, "They're stealing our jobs" or something? Like, what did he do wrong? Well, I imagine it's something fairly fucking serious, considering we have a 19-year-old in this country who was arrested for rap lyrics. I imagine it was pretty fucking serious, don't you?
Now, in a few years' time, victims of certain crimes in London might need to think twice before calling the police. That's with the authorities in the capital facing drastic cuts and police chiefs saying they might have to stop investigating so-called low-level crime.
This is a load of barnacles.
I heard that!
Teenager Kyle Little growled and barked at 2 Labradors and was charged by Teenager Kyle Little growled and barked at 2 Labradors and was charged by 2 police for £50 to £150. The case was eventually dropped, but only after an estimated total cost of £8,000 to the loyal taxpayer. Look, I mean, it was dropped. It was dropped, but what is the state in this country where the police actually go, you know what? I actually think barking at a dog might be a crime, you know? I think there might be something to that, you know? Another example of the police taking offence on the behalf of animals, Sam Brown asked a police officer about his horse. He said, "Excuse me, do you know your horse is gay?" But the police took Brown to court. So the police prosecuted Brown and then took him to court because he refused to pay his £80 fine the police gave him for calling their horse gay. Do you know the UK has the highest animal welfare standards in the world? That's actually true. That's actually true. They're so fucking high that we take offence on the behalf of horses. The Crown Prosecution Service eventually dropped the case. But again, what the fuck?
We simply don't have the resources we need.
Harry Hammond, who is a 69-year-old street preacher, stood in the streets of Brighton protesting against homosexuality. Not very PC. He had a sign proclaiming, "Jesus gives peace, Jesus is alive, stop immorality, stop homosexuality, and stop lesbianism, and Jesus is the Lord." He was then attacked for holding a sign in the street and had objects thrown at him, as well as was jeered by unprosecuted youths. And then he found himself arrested. Now I have to sort of beg the question of why you would arrest a man for holding a sign, but not arrest people who are attacking men who hold sign on the street. I mean, it's not a very nice sign, I'll admit it, but I mean, I have to question the logic slightly. He was then fined £400 and died a few weeks later. So let's get this straight. We have an activist deported under terrorism for saying that religion should accept homosexuality. However, we also have an activist arrested and fined for saying religion shouldn't accept homosexuality. I'm just a little bit confused by the UK position on this. I mean, you can't even say he was inciting hate, because I don't even think anyone was on his side, never mind the fucking government who refused to uphold his rights, because everyone around him was throwing objects at him and kicking him. And kicking an old man. Like, what? Who's he hurting? It seems like he's only hurting himself. Glenna Linehan, or is it Linehan, a famous comedian, was was recently given warning by the police for an argument he had on Twitter when he refused to acknowledge the transition name of a transgender activist. This obviously after 2 years of him harassing a fellow comedian, Marcus Michan, the Nazi pug guy, and saying it was a good thing that he got arrested by the police for his use of jokes. I suppose even tyrannical justice can be poetic, but at the same time, I didn't realise it was a crime not to call people by the name they want to be called by. Now, like I keep saying, I really, and would quite enjoy just going on, because there's lots of fun here, and I'm getting very passionate, and I feel like my dick is growing 10 times its size with the passion that I'm raging. I need a girlfriend. But I'll cut it short, because I've got work soon. But you know what bothers me the most? The fact that the British state still, after all of this, pretends that it gives the slightest shit about freedom of speech or freedom of expression. It's this whole I like it but attitude. Just say you don't like it. You know, if you don't like free speech, just say, oh no, I don't like free speech. But the British state is like, oh yes, we believe in free speech, but, there's no fucking but, is there? Because the last time you tried to put a but there, you ended up arresting a man for teaching a dog how to do a Nazi salute, or arresting a girl for fucking mourning her friend on Facebook. And obviously the whole problem is that if you try to arrest people for offence, obviously offence, as anyone, even a child could tell you, is subjective. So what we end up with is a lot of offensive shit being arrested, and offensive shit can obviously include anything from comedians to actual street preachers. But indeed, the state says, oh yes, we care about freedom of speech, but it's a qualified right. Now, according to the European Convention on Human Rights, Article 10, freedom of speech and expression, it covers political expression, including peaceful protests and demonstrations, like our reader Paul Wetson, who was arrested for reading Winston Churchill in public, artistic expression, like our comedians on the list, especially young Chelsea Russell, who was such a large fan of an artist that she was willing to post the rap lyrics of a song onto her profile and in turn become a fucking martyr. And commercial expression, particularly when it raises matters that are legitimate to public debate and concern, like our alien terrorists, Lauren Southern, who handed out pro-LGBTQ leaflets in highly Muslim areas. The exercise of these freedoms, since it carries with it duties and responsibilities, may be subject to some formalities and conditions and restrictions, or penalties as prescribed by law and are necessary in a democratic society, apparently. In the interest of national security, protection of health or morals, for the protection of the reputation or rights of others, and for preventing the disclosure of information received in confidence, and for maintaining the authority and impartiality of the judiciary. Maintaining morals? Well, fuck me, I guess the police of vice and virtue in Saudi Arabia are strong upholders of freedom of speech. Just as a qualified right, guys. I mean, it's offensive to the morals of a nation if a woman's allowed to fucking have free expression. I mean, don't get me wrong, Saudi Arabia is a proud upholder of freedom of speech. It's just, you know, it's a qualified right. I mean, boys.
Lads, freedom of speech is just a qualified right. This means you have the right to say things as much as you please, as long as they are sensible things that the government approves on, and not silly things like political grievances or criticising what the government doesn't want you to critique, especially in language that the government finds moral. The Democratic People's Republic of North Korea holds freedom of speech as its highest value. It's just a qualified and sensible right. We have freedom of speech here in North Korea, just not the freedom to say silly and nasty things like you stupid Americans or alt-right free speech extremists. Maybe you right-wing fascists should remember next time that you talk about your First Amendment or ideals of freedom, that, you know, it could hurt people's feelings. Gosh.
Other parallel developments, especially the incorporation of the 1950 European Convention on Human Rights into English law, have weakened the specifically English tradition of unconditional liberty. Everything is legal unless officially banned. They've replaced it with the codified and conditional continental system, under which all rights are granted by the authorities, and everything is illegal unless specifically allowed. The rights contained in the ECHR are often devices for altering the moral and cultural balance, rather than actually for protecting liberty. The Convention contains grandiose provisions such as the right to life and liberty, and the right to respect for private and family life, but it does not offer the effective provisions found in the US Bill of Rights, which prevent the state from acting in such a way that these rights would be infringed by debarring it from making certain laws. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech is much more use in a court of law and in a crisis than a right to free speech, which is balanced by a right to privacy and perhaps cancelled by the right of the state to act in self-defense.
Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and soliciting your submission. We need cameras. How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those who are more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror.